What up? Wade here. Welcome back to the Wade Alter Show. So today what I want to talk about is what personal branding can do for your business as well as your lifestyle. And so personal branding, it's one of these sort of amorphous, ambiguous terms that, there's things like personal branding where it comes to the design of your website and the color scheme that you have and the fonts that you use. That's not really what I'm talking about here. And then you have also this other end of the spectrum where me living out here in LA, I live in Santa Monica. You have these influencers that are standing next to a pink wall and they're looking, oh, look at me on Melrose. And so this whole influencer personal brand game, it's gotten pretty weird and there's a lot of haters, but there's some huge benefits to the lifestyle. And for me, I've been an influencer or a personal brand person before that thing even existed. So I started off as a dating coach back in 2007. And so at the time, like I said, YouTube barely existed. There wasn't even an Instagram, or maybe it was just, definitely wasn't bought by Facebook at the time and no one was using it. And so I wish I had that as I was cruising around, traveling the world. I was on the road 300 days a year, 40 countries in a 4 or 5 year span and like doing really cool stuff, things like that. But what that lifestyle really allowed and kind of building the brand around it is that it was really definitely, it's very rewarding to know that people, come up to you in the streets and stuff like that and say, hey, your videos have really helped me out. They've really changed my life and things like that. And you also have that fame that goes along with it. But more than anything, for me, the thing that really drives me more than anything in any area of life is the freedom. And so first you have the freedom of just, not having to work from an office, not having a 9 to 5, being able to work from anywhere. And for me, I've never had a real job. So it was just, I left college and I had the ability where I was working from the road and all I had to do was put a video out every week and run a seminar on the weekend, and clients would show up because they saw my videos. And hey, that was a pretty cool life. Like I said before, a lot of this stuff really existed. I mean, this is over 10 years ago at this point. And so it makes me feel like an old wise man. But that sort of experience and that exposure made me decide that I will never have a real job. I will never have an office. I mean, I have a home office here, but it's in the city that I choose to live in. And so I lived in Chicago for a while as I was building the business. I love the Midwest. That's where I'm from. Choosing to live here in Santa Monica, as you can see the breeze of the curtains, that's something that at this stage of my life is awesome because it just leads to a decrease in stress. There's amazing people out here, the influencer scene, the internet marketing scene, the self-development scene. And so that location independence, the time independence. So I'm an old man. Yesterday, my back kind of went out for a little bit. I was just laying on the ground, laying in bed for a while, and being able to do that when you have this type of business, the personal branding business, when you use just a personal brand and you're able to leverage that and sell effectively, it gives you all these different freedoms. So like I said, location, time, financial freedom. And those are some other things we'll get into in a second when I talk about how to build a business using your personal brand. So there's one way that I've talked about a little bit before on the channel when it comes to what I think is the most effective, rapid, fast way to monetize your content, your information, your knowledge, and your personal brand. And that is through releasing courses, coaching, or consulting. And the reason that I love this business model, another way of calling it, I call it the guru model, where you can basically pull money out of your ass. And what I mean by that is that all money is, it's an exchange of value. And when you're able to have an information marketing business, use your personal brand to create content and sell courses and coaching and things like that, all you got to do is figure out a new way to create value. And so that leads to, you can create a course, a $200 course, a $20 course, a $2 course, a $2,000 course, and a $20,000 retreat, and have a beautiful ascension ladder put in place. You're not going to build this thing overnight, but it allows to always having new ways to have that financial freedom as well. And so again, there's a stigma associated with the personal brand when it comes to the influencer game and people just taking pictures of themselves looking hot on the beach or in a bathtub with some rose petals or something like that, and then relying on merchandise and brand deals. That's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about here is building a true business where you're leveraging your face on the front. And so why would I want to do that? The thing is, when it comes to positioning, you have so many people that are, let's say, a life coach or a copywriter. Those are two things that I've been, or a dating coach. Anyone can do that. There's no sort of criteria. There's no certification, or if there's a certification, it's just a money pit, and you don't need that to be successful. And let me tell you, especially when I was learning self-development, there's so many world-class, amazingly transformational coaches out there that no one knows about, that are making $50 an hour. And it's like, why can I charge 10 grand and somebody else that has 30 years of experience is charging $100 an hour or something like that? And the difference is positioning. The difference is authority. And so one area that people really shoot themselves in the foot with this is that they hope that their proficiency of their skill set is going to lead to them being as successful as possible. I remember for myself as a dating coach, a year in, I had this blog and I was typing, I had beautiful articles and I was working so hard. And the clients that I had were getting such great results. But then I was so frustrated because the better I became as a coach and the better the results that I got, it didn't lead to an increase in my income. And I was wondering, where was I going wrong? And where I was going wrong was the fact that I was focusing so much on coaching and the skill set versus translating that to new people so that they see that. And so that's where all the marketing came in, and that's where all the copywriting came in, understanding how to persuade and influence on a higher level, getting more comfortable putting myself out there, desensitizing to the social pressure, becoming more polarizing, becoming more memorable, doing things that are a little bit weird, growing out my long flowing hair here and getting some blonde highlights. No, they're not actual highlights. It's just the sun. I live here in California. Doing things like that make you memorable so that people come back. You're not just boring. You're just not cookie cutter. You're not some vanilla character. And so that's the other piece when it comes to the personal brand especially, is that you need to really leverage that. Otherwise, you just fall into the masses. You just fall into the shadows like everyone else. And so it's this constant thing that is back and forth. You don't only want to rely on the personal brand and only rely on that because then you got nothing to back it up, but you don't want to only focus on the proficiency or the skill set or the deliverable. You need both. And this is beyond just if you're a coach or if you're selling some course or something like that. I don't care if you're a web designer and thinking about how can I be the memorable web designer. Get the green hair and the spikes up the front and kind of the nose ring. If you're good at what you do, then when the promotion comes up or when somebody thinks about partnering you for a new business model or you're trying to get investor funding, we're like, hey, what about the dude with the green, blah, 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 blah. Like maybe, yes, of course, there's a balance of, okay, that could really disqualify you with the investors. But in general, if they're looking at 30 deals, they're going to at least remember you. And so if you can take that and flip that into the positive, that's so much more valuable than you being a 1% better coder than the next guy. If you want this to be a business, if you truly want to have those benefits of the lifestyle freedom, the time freedom, the financial freedom, you need to focus on that. This is a business. This is not a job. This is not some sort of hobby or something like that. And the thing is you can't get a mortgage for a house with likes. You can't get, you can't pay the bills with a certain amount of subscribers. And so you got to build this thing with monetization in mind. And I don't mean just letting that be, hoping that you go viral and having YouTube ads pay your bills or something like that. I have clients that, like I said, are doing really well when it comes to YouTube. Like I said, millions of views a week, maybe even a day. And yet they're still kind of like, man, I hate this model because I don't know if this next video is going to get 800,000 views or it's going to get 80,000. Some of them go viral. A lot of them go viral. A lot don't. But I'm playing the game. I'm stuck in the rat race. It's like the new rat race. And the way that you get out of that is you build a legitimate, real business. And so what I mean by that specifically is getting the middleman out of the way. And instead of just hoping some ads that lead to other people's shit, is you start making your own shit. And for me, the fastest way to do that is information. Merchandise, you're getting what, a 5% or 10% margin? If you're creating a course, if you have a coaching program, that's 100% yours. And then you can invest that back into making the experience even better. And you can also invest it in growing your brand even faster. And so this is really the secret sauce, is either you need some other revenue stream, some other income source if you want to grow faster, or you need to make this thing so it runs itself. So every new follower you get is worth more to you because you have a funnel set in place, you have a sales process, you're always focused on conversions, you're tracking things. And as you amp those things up, you tweak the dials, it leads to, hey, let's funnel more back in because I know every dollar that I put into growing the size of my audience, each person in the audience is worth more to me. And that's where you get in this upward spiral where things just can go out of control and you can grow crazy fast. And the other thing, you don't need a huge brand. I mean, look at the size of my audience. I had a multi-six-figure business before I had 5,000 YouTube subscribers and I had 100 people listening to my podcast, downloading every episode or something like that. And so I didn't really focus on it because I didn't need to, because the value of per client. And the other thing that is the type of client or the audience that you're focusing on. So I guess the final piece I'll say with this is, as you're building the personal brand, you want to think about, who are you targeting? I was just talking to somebody earlier today and they're in India and their audience was going to be 18 to 24 year olds. They're like, man, it's going to be really hard. Like, what do I do? This seems really hard. I'm like, it is. Don't focus on India. I have nothing against people in India and I have nothing against 18 to 24 year olds. But the type of business that I wanted to grow faster, and it leads to a higher quality client that you're working with. You can, little 1% tweaks. If somebody has a 7-figure business, that could be $100,000. Whereas if they're making 10 grand, a little 1% tweak is $10 or something like that. So your leverage, your impact is so much higher. And so I think a lot of times the things that hold people back with that is more the stuff in your own head about, can I help these people out, than actually you having the value that you can offer. And so that was a lot of all stuff just packaged up in there. You maybe thought you were coming here and thinking about how I could change my logo. How could I have a better color scheme? That's not what I'm talking about with personal brand. What I'm saying is that this can be a huge asset. It could be the number one asset in your business when you have the right type of audience and you know how to monetize it effectively. Boom. So there was a bunch of strategies put in there related to the personal brand, as well as, information marketing, stuff like that. If you want more strategies like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And lately it seems like you got to hit that little bell, smash that bell as well. And I think there's multiple things you can do with that bell. I want you to check out every one of my videos because I'm here to help you take your brand to the next level, help you impact more people and make more cash every single day from every single person who finds out about you. That's what I'm all about, helping influencers just like yourself. So subscribe, and as always, enjoy.